The first thing I noticed when I pulled into my driveway was the police car. The second thing I noticed was that my garage was empty. My silver Mercedes, the one I had saved for 3 years to buy, the one with the custom leather seats I had picked out myself, was gone. My heart started racing as I grabbed my suitcase from the rental car. I had cut my business trip short by 2 days because I missed home, missed my bed, even though lately I had been feeling like something was off with Trevor. I told myself I was being paranoid. We had been married for 8 years. We had built a life together. But that empty garage made my stomach drop. Mrs. Patterson? The police officer approached me, his face serious. He was young, probably mid-20s, and he looked uncomfortable. Are you Simone Patterson? Yes, I said, my voice barely working. What's going on? Where's my car? Ma'am, I need you to come inside. Your husband is waiting. I followed him through my front door, my hands shaking. Trevor was sitting on our couch, his head in his hands. He looked up when I walked in and his face was pale. I had never seen him look like that before, not even when his father died. Trevor, where is my car? I dropped my suitcase right there in the entryway. What's happening? The officer cleared his throat. Mrs. Patterson, your vehicle was involved in a serious accident this morning. The driver walked away with minor injuries, but the car is totaled. It's at the impound lot. My knees went weak. What driver? I've been in Seattle for the past week. My car should have been in the garage. Trevor finally spoke, his voice cracking. Simone, I can explain. The driver was a Miss Candace Thompson, the officer continued, reading from his notepad. She stated that she had permission from your husband to use the vehicle. The room started spinning. I grabbed the back of a chair to steady myself. Permission from my husband? To drive my car? The car that's in my name only? Trevor stood up. Simone, please. Don't. I held up my hand. Officer, I did not give anyone permission to drive my car. My husband had no legal right to give that permission either, since the vehicle is registered solely in my name. The officer nodded slowly. That's what we needed to confirm. This changes the nature of the case. Miss Thompson could be facing charges for unauthorized use of a vehicle. Who is Candace Thompson? I asked, but I already knew. Deep down in my gut, I already knew. Trevor's silence said everything. The officer looked between us, then cleared his throat again. I'll leave you two to discuss this. Mrs. Patterson, you'll need to come down to the station to file a formal report and answer some questions. Here's my card. After the officer left, I stood there looking at the man I had married, the man I had trusted with everything. How long? Simone. How long have you been sleeping with her? His face crumpled. 14 months. 14 months. Over a year. While I was working 60-hour weeks to help pay our mortgage. While I was planning our anniversary trip. While I was talking about maybe starting to try for a baby. And you gave her my car. I didn't think you'd be back until Friday. She needed. My voice came out sharp and loud. She needed my car? The car I saved for? The car that was mine? I was going to tell you, he said weakly. I was going to tell you everything this weekend. Tell me what? That you were cheating on me? That you gave my property to your mistress? That you've been lying to me for over a year? Trevor started crying. Actual tears running down his face. But I felt nothing. No sympathy, no urge to comfort him like I usually did. All I felt was cold rage settling into my bones. I need you to leave, I said quietly. Right now. Get out of my house. Simone, please, we can work through this. Get out. I screamed it this time. Get out before I call that officer back here and tell him you've been stealing from our joint accounts too, because I saw the bank statement in the mail yesterday. I know you've been taking money. I know everything, Trevor. Get out. He grabbed his keys and his phone, moving toward the door. At the threshold, he turned back. I love you. I made a mistake, but I love you. You destroyed my car, I said. You gave it to another woman and she destroyed it. That's not a mistake. That's not love. That's just cruelty. After he left, I sat on my couch in silence. My beautiful car, the first major purchase I had ever made on my own, was sitting in pieces at some impound lot. My marriage was over. My trust was shattered. But as I sat there, something shifted inside me. The shock started to fade, and beneath it was something harder, something stronger. I thought about that car, about how I had researched every detail, how I had negotiated the price myself, how proud I had been driving it off the lot. I had built that, and I could build again. I pulled out my phone and called my best friend Nicole. I need a lawyer, I said when she answered. The best divorce lawyer you know. And I need them today. What happened? Nicole's voice was instantly alert. Trevor's mistress crashed my car. The one he gave her to drive while I was away on business. There was a long pause. I'm coming over. And yes, I know a lawyer. The kind who makes cheating husbands regret everything. After we hung up, I walked through my house, really looking at it for the first time in months. The photos on the walls, the furniture we had picked out together, the life we had built. It all felt like a lie now. But this house was half mine. The accounts were half mine. The life we had built was half mine. And I was going to take my half. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I deserved it. Because I had earned it. Because that car might be totaled, but I was not. I opened my laptop and started documenting everything. Every bank statement, every receipt, every text message I could find. If Trevor wanted to give things away to Candace, fine. But he was going to pay me back first. Every single dollar. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I'm sorry about the car. Trevor said I could borrow it. I didn't know it would cause problems. I stared at that message for a long moment. Candace. She was texting me. The woman who had been sleeping with my husband for over a year, who had totaled my car, was sorry it caused problems. I blocked the number without responding. She didn't deserve my words, my anger, or my time. Neither did Trevor. They deserved exactly what they were going to get. Nothing from me and the consequences of their own choices. The doorbell rang. Nicole was here, probably with food and wine in the name of that lawyer. I took a deep breath, wiped my face, and went to answer it. This was just the beginning. And I was going to make sure it ended with me on top. Nicole came through the door like a force of nature, carrying 2 bottles of wine, a bag of Chinese takeout, and an expression that meant business. She had known me since college and she could read my moods better than anyone. Okay, she said, setting everything down on my kitchen counter. Tell me everything, then we're calling Veronica. She handled my cousin's divorce last year. The husband tried to hide assets. She found everything and made sure my cousin got more than half. I told her the whole story while she opened the wine. About coming home early. About the police. About Candace and the car and Trevor's tears. Nicole's face got harder with every detail. 14 months, she repeated. And he gave your car to her. Your car that you saved for. That you worked overtime for. I've been stupid, I said, taking the wine glass she offered. I should have seen the signs. He was distant. He was always on his phone. There were all these late nights at work that didn't make sense. No. Nicole pointed at me. You were not stupid. You were trusting your husband, which is what you're supposed to do in a marriage. He was the one who lied. He was the one who chose to cheat. This is not on you. I nodded, but I still felt that familiar weight of shame. How could I not have known? How could I have missed it for over a year? Show me the bank statements, Nicole said. Let's see what we're dealing with. I opened my laptop and pulled up our joint account. I had noticed some strange charges when I checked it yesterday at the airport, but I hadn't had time to really dig into them. Now, sitting with Nicole, I started going through the last year of transactions. Cash withdrawals. Lots of them. 200 here, 300 there. Never enough to be alarming on their own, but they added up. Restaurant charges at places Trevor and I had never been together. Hotel charges. Gift purchases from jewelry stores I didn't recognize. He spent almost $30,000, I said, feeling sick. Over the past year, he's taken almost $30,000 from our joint account and spent it on her. Nicole was writing everything down. Keep looking. Check the credit cards too. The credit cards were worse. Trevor had opened 2 cards I didn't know about. One was maxed out at $15,000. The other had a balance of $8,000. Charges for clothing, dinners, weekend trips. There was even a charge to a furniture store. Did he buy her furniture? Nicole's voice was sharp. I clicked on the charge and saw the itemized receipt. A bedroom set. Delivered to an address I didn't recognize. He furnished her apartment, I whispered. With our money. Nicole grabbed her phone. I'm calling Veronica right now. This is financial fraud. He was stealing from you to fund an affair. While Nicole made the call, I kept digging. I went through Trevor's iPad, the one he usually left lying around the house. He never logged out of anything, always said he had nothing to hide. I had never looked before because I trusted him. What a joke that seemed now. His messages were easy to find. Months and months of texts with Candace. Sweet messages. Sexual messages. Messages about how he wished he could leave me but it was complicated because of money. Messages about how I worked too much and didn't appreciate him. Messages where he called her baby and said she understood him better than I ever had. I took screenshots of everything. My hands were shaking so badly it was hard to hold the iPad, but I kept going. This was evidence. This was proof. This was what I needed. There were photos too. Candace was pretty in a generic way. Long hair, perfect makeup, always dressed up. In the photos she was always touching Trevor, always looking at the camera like she was posing. Trevor looked happy. Happier than he had looked with me in years. That hurt worse than the text somehow. The visual proof that he had been building a whole other life without me. Veronica can see you tomorrow at 9, Nicole said, coming back into the room. She wants you to bring every piece of evidence you can find. Bank statements, credit card bills, texts, emails, photos. Everything. I'm finding so much, I said. It just keeps going. There are emails too. They were planning a trip to Jamaica for next month. He told me he had a work conference in Dallas. Nicole came to look over my shoulder. Her face hardened as she read the messages. What a piece of trash. And she knew he was married. Look, she calls you his wife right there in that text. I read the message Nicole pointed to. Candace had written, "When are you going to tell your wife? I'm tired of hiding." And Trevor had responded, "Soon, baby. I promise. I just need to figure out the money situation first." He was planning to leave you, Nicole said quietly. He was just waiting to figure out how to do it without losing money. I felt numb. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't a mistake he made one night. This was calculated. This was planned. He had been working toward leaving me while still sleeping in my bed, eating the meals I cooked, pretending we had a future together. Check his email, Nicole suggested. See if there's anything with lawyers or financial advisors. I found it in his deleted folder. An email to a lawyer about divorce procedures. Trevor had sent it 3 months ago. The lawyer had responded with information about asset division and how to protect income during a divorce. Trevor had been researching how to leave me while keeping as much money as possible. I want to throw up, I said. Don't, Nicole said firmly. Get angry instead. Getting angry is better. Getting even is even better than that. I kept searching. I found receipts for gifts I had never received. I found emails to Candace's landlord, where Trevor had offered to co-sign her lease. I found a folder full of photos from their trips together, times when Trevor had told me he was traveling for work. There was a spreadsheet. An actual spreadsheet where Trevor had calculated our assets and what he would get in a divorce. He had listed our house, our cars, our retirement accounts. He had even listed my salary and noted that I made more than him, which would affect alimony. He was planning to ask for alimony from you, Nicole said, reading over my shoulder. After cheating on you and stealing from you, he was going to ask you to pay him monthly support. Something inside me cracked. Not in a breaking way, but in a way that felt like ice shattering. The cold rage I had felt earlier spread through my entire body. Print everything, I said. I want hard copies of all of this. And I want to make sure I have it backed up in multiple places. We spent the next 3 hours organizing evidence. Nicole helped me upload everything to a cloud drive, then to a secure email account I created just for the divorce. We printed out the most damaging texts and emails. We made a timeline of the affair based on the messages. We calculated exactly how much money Trevor had spent on Candace. By the time we finished, it was after midnight. The total was staggering. Trevor had spent over $50,000 of our money on his mistress. $50,000 that should have gone toward our mortgage, our savings, our future. This is slam dunk, Nicole said. Veronica is going to destroy him. He doesn't have a leg to stand on. I looked at the piles of evidence on my dining room table. Photos, texts, receipts, bank statements. The entire history of Trevor's betrayal laid out in black and white. And next to it, the police report about my car. About how Candace had been driving recklessly, had run a red light, had totaled my vehicle while driving without insurance. I trusted him, I said quietly. I loved him. I would have given him anything he asked for. I know, Nicole said, putting her arm around me. That's why this is so evil. He took advantage of your trust. He stole from you while you were working to build a life with him. My phone buzzed. Another text from Trevor. Please call me. We need to talk. I can explain everything. I love you. I showed Nicole. She took my phone and blocked his number. You don't need to hear anything he has to say. He had over a year to explain. Instead, he lied. That night after Nicole left, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my bed, the bed I had shared with Trevor for 8 years, and stared at the ceiling. I thought about all the times I had believed him when he said he was working late. All the times I had felt guilty for my own work schedule, for not being home enough. All the times he had made me feel like I was the problem in our marriage. He had been gaslighting me, making me doubt myself while he built a secret life. And I had almost believed him. I had almost thought I was failing as a wife. But I wasn't the one who failed. I wasn't the one who broke our vows. I wasn't the one who stole and lied and cheated. I got out of bed and went to my office. I pulled out a notebook and started making lists. A list of assets. A list of accounts. A list of what I needed to do. A list of lawyers besides Veronica I should consult with just to be thorough. I was going to be methodical about this. I was going to be smart. I was going to document everything and follow every legal procedure correctly. I was going to make sure that when this was over, Trevor couldn't claim I had done anything wrong. Because the evidence was clear. He was the one who destroyed our marriage. He was the one who gave away my car. He was the one who stole our money. And I was going to make sure everyone knew it. Veronica's office was in a sleek downtown building, all glass and steel and expensive furniture. She was exactly what I needed. Sharp, professional, and with a reputation for winning. Nicole's cousin had warned me that Veronica didn't do consolation prizes. She did scorched earth. Mrs. Patterson, Veronica said, shaking my hand. She was in her 50s, with gray hair she wore with confidence and a suit that probably cost more than my car payment used to be. I've reviewed the materials you sent over last night. We have a very strong case. I sat down across from her desk, my folder of evidence in my lap. I want everything I'm entitled to. I want him to pay back every dollar he stole. And I want to make sure Candace faces consequences for what she did to my car. Veronica smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a shark who just spotted dinner. Let's talk about what we can accomplish. First, the car. Since it was registered solely in your name and you did not give permission for anyone else to drive it, Candace is liable for unauthorized use of a vehicle. The prosecutor is already pursuing that. But we can also file a civil suit against both her and your husband for the value of the car plus damages. Both of them? Your husband gave her access to your property without authorization. He's liable too. Now, regarding the affair and financial fraud. Veronica pulled out a legal pad. Your husband spent over $50,000 of marital assets on his mistress. He opened credit cards without your knowledge. He was planning to file for divorce while hiding assets. This gives us significant leverage. What does that mean exactly? It means we can argue that he dissipated marital assets. In court, that means he deliberately wasted money that should have belonged to both of you. Judges don't like that. They especially don't like it when one spouse spends tens of thousands on an affair while the other spouse is working to support the marriage. I felt something loosen in my chest. Validation. Someone in authority was telling me that what Trevor did was not just morally wrong but legally wrong. I want to file as quickly as possible, I said. I want him served with papers before he has time to hide anything else. We can file today, Veronica said. I'll need you to sign some documents and then we'll serve him at his workplace tomorrow. Good. Veronica leaned forward. Simone, I need to prepare you for what happens next. Your husband is going to fight this. He's going to try to make you feel guilty. He's going to promise he's changed. His lawyer is going to try to paint this as a midlife crisis or a mistake. But we have evidence that this was calculated and ongoing. We have proof of financial fraud. We have documentation that he was planning to leave you while trying to maximize his financial outcome. Don't let him manipulate you. I won't, I said. But even as I said it, I wondered if it was true. Trevor had manipulated me for over a year. What if he could do it again? One more thing, Veronica said. I strongly advise you not to speak to your husband directly. All communication should go through me. Don't answer his calls, don't respond to his texts, don't agree to meet with him. Anything you say to him can be twisted and used against you later. I nodded and signed the papers. By the time I left Veronica's office 2 hours later, I had filed for divorce, filed a restraining order to keep Trevor away from our house, and initiated a freeze on all our joint accounts. My phone started buzzing before I even got to my car. Trevor had figured out he was locked out of the accounts. He was calling over and over. I blocked the number. But he called from his office phone. Then from a number I didn't recognize. Finally, I turned off my phone and drove home in silence. When I pulled into my driveway, Trevor was sitting on the front steps. He must have left work early. He stood up when he saw me and I could tell he had been crying. Simone, please, he said as I got out of my car. We need to talk. I have a lawyer, I said. Talk to her. Don't do this. Don't throw away 8 years over one mistake. I stopped walking and turned to face him. One mistake. You had an affair for 14 months. You spent $50,000 of our money on another woman. You gave her my car, Trevor. You gave away something that was mine and she destroyed it. That's not one mistake. That's a pattern of choices. I was confused, he said. I was going through something and I made bad decisions. But I love you. I want to fix this. You were planning to leave me, I said. I found the emails to the lawyer. I found the spreadsheet where you calculated how to keep as much money as possible in the divorce. You weren't confused. You were strategic. His face went pale. You went through my private things? You mean the iPad you left on our kitchen counter? The one logged into all your accounts? The one you said I could use anytime because you had nothing to hide? I laughed, but it came out bitter. You left it there because you thought I would never look. You thought I trusted you too much to check. Simone. You were right. I did trust you that much. But I don't anymore. I walked past him toward my front door. He grabbed my arm, not hard, just enough to stop me. I jerked away. Don't touch me. Please, he said, and he was crying openly now. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll never see her again. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you. You can't make it up to me, I said. You destroyed my trust. You stole from me. You humiliated me. And you only feel sorry now because you got caught. That's not true. I was going to tell you. I was going to end it with Candace and come clean. When? Before or after your trip to Jamaica with her next month? He closed his eyes. You saw that. I saw everything, Trevor. Every text, every email, every photo, every receipt. I know about the furniture you bought her. I know about the lease you co-signed. I know about the hotel rooms and the dinners and the gifts. I know you called her baby while you were lying in bed next to me. Stop, he whispered. What? Does it hurt to hear it? Does it hurt to have your lies exposed? I'm sorry. He was sobbing now. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. But you did hurt me. You are still hurting me by being here. I asked you to leave yesterday. I filed a restraining order today. If you don't go right now, I'm calling the police. He looked at me like I was a stranger. You really did that? You filed a restraining order against me? What did you think would happen? That I would just forgive you? That we would go to couples counseling and work through your affair and your theft and your complete betrayal of everything we built together? We can still save this, he said desperately. I know we can. If you would just listen. I listened to you for 8 years, I said. I listened when you said you were working late. I listened when you said you needed space. I listened when you said I was too focused on my career. And the whole time you were lying. I'm done listening to you, Trevor. I went inside and closed the door. He stood on the porch for a long time. I could see him through the window, just standing there crying. Part of me wanted to feel sorry for him. Part of me remembered the man I married, the one who used to make me laugh, the one I had planned a whole future with. But that man was gone. Or maybe he had never existed. Maybe I had just been in love with a fantasy while the real Trevor was busy betraying me. My phone buzzed. Nicole, are you okay? Veronica told me you were served the papers today. He was here when I got home, I texted back. He's still on the porch. Want me to come over? No. He'll leave eventually. The restraining order will be processed tomorrow, and then he'll have to stay away. Proud of you. You're being so strong. But I didn't feel strong. I felt empty. I felt like someone had scooped out my insides and left me hollow. I had loved Trevor. I had built my life around him. And now I was dismantling that life piece by piece. Trevor finally left around midnight. I watched from the window as he got in his car and drove away. Then I went through the house and changed all the locks. I called a security company and had them install cameras. I wasn't taking any chances. That night, I lay in bed and thought about what Veronica had said. Trevor would fight this. He would try to manipulate me. He would try to make me doubt myself. But I had evidence. I had proof. I had documentation of every lie he told and every dollar he stole. And I had something else too. I had anger. Cold, hard anger that was going to carry me through this. Because I deserved better than what Trevor gave me. I deserved honesty and respect and loyalty. And if I couldn't get that from my marriage, then I would get it from my freedom. The next 2 weeks were a blur of legal meetings, paperwork, and phone calls. Veronica moved fast and Trevor's lawyer couldn't keep up. By the time Trevor realized what was happening, I had already secured the house, frozen the joint accounts, and filed claims for every dollar he had spent on Candace. They're offering a settlement, Veronica said during our Thursday meeting. Trevor wants to avoid a trial. What's he offering? Veronica slid a paper across her desk. He'll give you the house and your retirement account. You split his retirement 50-50. No alimony on either side. He pays back $15,000 of the money he spent on the affair. $15,000? I stared at her. He spent over $50,000. He's offering to pay back less than a third. I told them it was insulting, Veronica said. But I wanted you to see what they're trying to pull. His lawyer is arguing that some of the expenses were legitimate business costs. Business costs? The hotel rooms? The jewelry? The furniture? Apparently he's claiming some of the dinners were with clients, and Candace was there as his date, which is still using marital assets for the affair, but his lawyer thinks he can muddy the waters. I shook my head. No. I want every dollar back. I want him to pay for what he did. Then we're going to trial. It'll take longer and it'll cost more in legal fees, but I think we can win. Do it. Veronica smiled that shark smile again. Good. Because I also have news about Candace. The prosecutor filed formal charges yesterday. Unauthorized use of a vehicle, reckless driving, and driving without insurance. She's looking at up to a year in jail and substantial fines. Will she actually go to jail? First offense? Probably not. But she'll have a criminal record. And we can use her criminal case in our civil suit against both her and Trevor. They're jointly liable for the destruction of your car. How much can I get from them? Your car was worth $35,000. With diminished value, replacement costs, and punitive damages? We're asking for $75,000 from both of them, joint and several liability. That meant if Candace couldn't pay, Trevor would have to cover her portion too. The thought made me smile. What about Trevor's job? I asked. Has any of this affected him at work? Veronica's expression shifted slightly. Actually, yes. His employer found out about the affair. Apparently Candace called his office looking for him and word spread. His company has a morality clause in their executive contracts. He's been put on administrative leave while they investigate whether he misused company resources for personal matters. Did he? The company credit card he carries has charges at the same restaurants where he took Candace. He listed some of those dinners as client meetings. His employer is not happy. I felt a flicker of satisfaction. Trevor had always been so proud of his job, his title, his corner office. He had used his work status to make me feel like my career was less important, even though I made more money. Now that status was crumbling. There's more, Veronica said. Trevor's parents reached out to me. They want to talk to you. Why? They're horrified by what he did. They said they had no idea about the affair and they want you to know they support you. They're also planning to testify on your behalf if we go to trial. I sat back in my chair, stunned. Trevor's parents had been like family to me. His mother had taught me to make her famous pot roast. His father had walked me down the aisle at our wedding because my own father had passed away years before. I had assumed they would side with their son. They want to testify against Trevor? They want to testify to his character and spending habits. His mother kept records of money they loaned you both over the years. Apparently Trevor told them he needed help with the mortgage, but they recently found out you didn't know about those loans. He pocketed that money too. How much? $20,000. Over 3 years, they gave him $20,000 that was supposed to go toward your house payments. I felt sick. He told me his parents couldn't help us financially. He said they were struggling with medical bills. They weren't. They were helping him fund his affair while making you think you had to work harder to cover costs. The depth of Trevor's lies kept getting worse. Every time I thought I had found the bottom, there was another layer of betrayal underneath. I want his parents' testimony, I said. If they're willing to help, I want them involved. I'll set it up. Over the next week, I met with Trevor's parents at a coffee shop. His mother cried when she hugged me. His father looked older than I remembered, his face drawn with shame. We raised him better than this, his mother said. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know how he became someone who could do this. It's not your fault, I said. But it is our failure, his father said. We should have seen the signs. We should have questioned him more when he asked for money. We should have talked to you. They showed me the bank records. $20,000 transferred to Trevor over 3 years. Each time he had told them I knew about it. Each time he had said we were struggling and needed help. Each time he had lied. We want you to have that money back, his mother said. It was meant for both of you. For your future together. He stole it. I can't take money from you, I said. It's not taking, his father said firmly. It's returning what's ours to give. We're including it in our testimony. Trevor will have to pay you back every dollar we gave him under false pretenses. Trevor's mother reached across the table and took my hand. You were the best thing that ever happened to our son. You made him better. Or we thought you did. I'm so sorry he hurt you. I'm so sorry we didn't protect you. I cried then. I had been holding it together so well, being strong, being businesslike. But this broke something open inside me. These people who owed me nothing, who could have chosen their son's side, were choosing honesty instead. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you for believing me." "We don't just believe you," his father said. "We know you. We know our son. And we know what he did was unforgivable." When I told Veronica about the meeting, she added the 20,000 to our claims. "We're up to 95,000 now in what Trevor owes you. Plus the house, plus your car replacement, plus legal fees. He's going to be broke when this is over." "Good," I said, and I meant it. The trial date was set for 2 months away. In the meantime, Trevor tried everything to get me to talk to him. He sent flowers to my office. He sent letters through mutual friends. He even tried to corner me in the grocery store parking lot until security escorted him away. Each time I documented it. Each time I sent the evidence to Veronica. Each attempt at contact was a violation of the restraining order, and each violation made our case stronger. Nicole came over one night with pizza and wine. "How are you holding up?" "I'm okay," I said. "Better than okay, actually. I thought I would fall apart, but I feel like I'm finally waking up from a bad dream." "You're fierce," Nicole said. "I'm proud of you." "I'm proud of me too," I admitted. I spent so long making excuses for Trevor, trying to understand him, trying to fix whatever was wrong in our marriage. But the problem was never me. It was him. And now everyone can see it. My phone buzzed. Another text from an unknown number. "This is Candace. Can we please talk?" I didn't know it would turn out like this. I showed Nicole. She grabbed my phone and typed back, "Simone's lawyer is Veronica Hayes. Contact her office if you have something to say. This number is now blocked." "She's scared," Nicole said. "The criminal charges, the civil suit, knowing Trevor's broke and can't help her anymore. She's realizing she destroyed her own life for a man who lied to both of you." "I don't feel sorry for her," I said. She knew he was married. She saw the photos in his house when she was there. She met his parents. She knew exactly what she was doing. "Neither do I," Nicole agreed. She made her choice. Now she gets to live with the consequences. The next day, Veronica called with an update. Trevor lost his job. They found proof he used company resources for personal matters. He's been terminated effective immediately. "How is that possible?" I asked. "I thought he was on leave." He was. But the investigation found more than they expected. He was charging personal expenses to the company card. He was using company time and property for his affair. He even took Candace on a business trip and charged her hotel room to the company. They're considering pressing charges themselves. For what? Fraud. Embezzlement. Misuse of company funds. It could add up to serious charges if they decide to pursue it. I thought about Trevor, who had been so proud, so confident, so sure he could have everything he wanted. Now he had nothing. No job, no money, no wife, no girlfriend, no friends. His own parents had turned against him. "Part of me feels bad for him," I admitted to Veronica. "Don't," she said sharply. "He did this to himself. Every single consequence he's facing is the direct result of his own choices. You didn't do this to him. He did it to himself." She was right. I knew she was right. But it was hard to watch someone I had once loved destroy himself so completely. "Trial is in 6 weeks, Veronica said. "Trevor's lawyer is going to try to negotiate again. They know they're going to lose. Are you prepared to see him in court?" "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." And I was. Because this wasn't about revenge. This was about justice. This was about making sure Trevor faced consequences for what he did. This was about getting back what was mine and moving forward with my life. The anger had settled into something colder, something more determined. I was going to win this case. I was going to get my money back. I was going to rebuild my life. And Trevor was going to watch it all happen, knowing he could have had all of this. Knowing he threw it all away for someone who didn't even want him once the money ran out. That felt like justice enough. The news spread faster than I expected. Small towns have a way of amplifying scandal, and even though we lived in a decent-sized city, our professional circles overlapped enough that within 3 weeks, everyone knew what Trevor had done. I first noticed it at the marketing firm where I worked. People who usually just nodded hello started coming to my office to offer support. My boss, Patricia, called me in for a meeting I thought might be about my performance, but instead she closed the door and said, "I heard about your divorce. I want you to know this firm stands behind you. If you need time off or flexible hours, we can arrange it." "Thank you," I said, surprised. "But I'd rather stay busy. Work helps." Patricia nodded. "I understand. Just know the option is there." "And Simone?" "For what it's worth, I always thought Trevor was a fool. You're brilliant at what you do, and he never seemed to appreciate that. Later that day, I ran into someone from Trevor's office in the coffee shop down the street. Janet had been Trevor's colleague for years, someone we used to have dinner with occasionally. She approached my table carefully like I might break. "Simone, I'm so sorry," she said. "The whole office is talking about what happened. Most of us had no idea he was capable of something like that." "Most of you?" I asked. Janet looked uncomfortable. "Some people suspected. There were rumors about him and someone in the building. But we thought it was just office gossip. We didn't know it was true or that it had been going on so long. Did anyone think to tell me? We didn't have proof. And honestly, we were all scared to get involved. Trevor was." She trailed off. "Was what?" "He was vindictive. If someone crossed him at work, he would find ways to make their lives difficult. Small things like leaving them off important emails or taking credit for their ideas. People were afraid of him." I stared at her. This was a side of Trevor I had never seen. At home he was charming, funny, attentive when he wanted to be. At work apparently he was someone people feared. "The company fired him," Janet continued. "The official reason was misuse of funds, but the real reason? Nobody wanted to work with him after they found out what he did to you. His reputation is destroyed." Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me felt sad. This was the man I had married, the man I had thought I knew. How had I missed all of this? Nicole came over that evening with more news. "Trevor's living with his cousin now. Did you know that? His parents won't let him stay with them." "How do you know?" "Your mother-in-law called me. She wanted to make sure you knew they were cutting him off completely. No money, no support, nothing until he makes things right with you." I sat down heavily on my couch. "They're really doing that?" "They really are." She said they're ashamed of him. That they didn't raise him to be a liar and a thief. My phone rang. I looked at the screen and saw it was Trevor's mother. I answered carefully. "Hello. Simone, sweetheart." Her voice was warm but sad. "I wanted to check on you. How are you holding up?" "I'm okay. Taking it day by day. I also wanted you to know that we've cut Trevor off. No financial support, no place to stay. His father and I discussed it and we can't enable his behavior. He needs to face what he's done." "That must be hard for you," I said. "It is. But you're the innocent victim here. You're the one who was betrayed. Our loyalty should be with you, not with our son who behaved so badly." We talked for another 20 minutes. She told me about the church congregation finding out, about the whispers and judgment Trevor was facing. She told me he had tried to come home, tried to ask for money, and she had turned him away. "He needs to hit rock bottom," she said. "That's the only way he'll understand the gravity of what he did." After we hung up, I felt strange. Hollow. I had wanted consequences for Trevor, wanted him to face justice. But hearing about his complete social and financial collapse felt bigger than I had imagined. Nicole must have seen something in my face. "Are you feeling guilty?" "A little," I admitted. "Is that crazy? After everything he did?" "It's not crazy. It's human. But remember, you didn't do any of this to him. He did it to himself." "I know. But his whole life is falling apart. Because his whole life was built on lies. This is what happens when the truth comes out." Nicole sat next to me on the couch. "You didn't make him cheat. You didn't make him steal. You didn't make him give your car to his mistress. Those were his choices. And now he's living with the consequences." The next day at work, I got a call from an unexpected number. When I answered, a woman's voice said, "Simone? This is Amy. I work at Trevor's old company. We've never met, but I need to talk to you about something." "Okay," I said carefully. "I was one of the people Trevor had an affair with. Before Candace. 2 years ago for about 6 months." I felt the room tilt. "What?" "I didn't know about you at first. He told me he was divorced. By the time I found out he was married, I had already ended things because I realized he was lying about everything else too. I just found out about what happened with Candace and your car, and I thought you should know this wasn't his first affair." I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up. "There might have been others too," Amy continued. "I'm not sure. But when I found out what he did to you, I felt like I needed to tell you the truth. I'm sorry. I should have said something years ago, but I was embarrassed and scared." "Does Trevor know you're calling me?" "No. And I'd appreciate if you didn't tell him. I just thought you deserved to know that this pattern has been going on longer than just 14 months. After Amy hung up, I sat at my desk in shock. I called Veronica immediately. "This changes things," Veronica said after I explained. "If we can prove a pattern of behavior, it strengthens our case significantly." Did this Amy woman say she would testify? I didn't ask. I'll reach out to her. If she's willing to testify that Trevor lied to her too, lied about being divorced, it shows a pattern of deception and manipulation. That evening I went through our photo albums. Pictures from 2 years ago when Amy said the affair happened. I had thought we were happy then. I remembered that year as one of our better years. We had taken a vacation to the mountains. We had celebrated our anniversary with a fancy dinner. We had talked about maybe buying a bigger house. And the whole time, Trevor had been sleeping with someone from his office. I called Nicole. There was another woman. Before Candace. At least one other that I know about. Nicole swore. That piece of garbage. How did you find out? I told her about Amy's call. About how Trevor had lied to her too. About how he had been doing this for years, not just 14 months. I was such an idiot, I said. How did I not see it? Stop that, Nicole said firmly. You're not an idiot. You're a normal person who trusted her husband. That's not a flaw. That's how marriage is supposed to work. He's the one who's broken, not you. But I kept looking through the photos. All those smiling pictures. All those moments I had thought were real. How many of them had been fake? How many times had Trevor been with someone else the day before or the day after these photos were taken? My phone buzzed with a message from Amy. I talked to your lawyer. I'll testify if you need me to. I'm sorry for my part in this. I should have done more to find out if he was really divorced. I typed back, thank you for coming forward. It means a lot. The trial was 5 weeks away. Veronica now had testimony from Trevor's parents, from Amy, from Trevor's colleagues, and from Candace's landlord who confirmed Trevor had co-signed her lease. The evidence was overwhelming. Trevor's lawyer reached out with another settlement offer. Trevor would give me the house, both retirement accounts, and agree to pay back $40,000 over 5 years. It's still not enough, I told Veronica. And 5 years? He could declare bankruptcy and never pay me. I know. I told them we're going to trial. They're desperate because they know they're going to lose. The community continued to turn against Trevor. Our church asked him not to attend services for a while. His gym revoked his membership. The country club where he used to play golf blacklisted him. It's like he's being socially exiled, I told Nicole one night. He is, Nicole said. That's what happens when you betray someone in a way that makes everyone else question their own relationships. People look at what Trevor did and they get scared. They think if it could happen to Simone, it could happen to anyone. So they distance themselves from him to prove they're not like him. I started therapy around this time. I needed help processing everything. The betrayal, the lies, the realization that my entire marriage had been something different from what I thought. My therapist, Dr. Williams, was gentle but direct. You're grieving, she said in our first session. Not just the end of your marriage but the death of the person you thought your husband was. That person never existed. You're mourning a fantasy. How do I move past that? By accepting it. By understanding that his choices were never about you. They were about him and his own issues. Some people are broken in ways that make them incapable of honesty or real intimacy. It sounds like Trevor might be one of those people. Will I ever be able to trust again? Yes, Dr. Williams said confidently. But first you need to trust yourself. You need to trust that you can survive this, that you can rebuild, that you're strong enough to create a better life. I wasn't sure I believed her yet, but I kept going to therapy every week. I kept working with Veronica on the trial preparation. I kept showing up at work and doing my job and maintaining my friendships. And slowly, very slowly, I started to feel less like a victim and more like a survivor. 4 weeks before the trial, Trevor showed up at my office building. Security wouldn't let him in, but he stood outside holding a sign that said, "I'm sorry, Simone. Please forgive me." It was humiliating. For both of us. My colleagues saw it. Clients saw it. People took pictures and posted them on social media. I called the police. They came and removed him for violating the restraining order. Veronica filed more documentation showing Trevor's continued harassment. He's having a breakdown, Veronica said. His lawyer told me Trevor's not handling any of this well. He's depressed, possibly suicidal. Is that supposed to make me feel guilty? I asked. No. It's supposed to make you aware. If he escalates, if he threatens himself or you, we need to document everything. Do you think he would hurt me? I think he's desperate. And desperate people do unpredictable things. That night, I installed extra security measures. More cameras, better locks, a panic button connected to the police. I told my neighbors about the situation. I made sure my workplace knew to call security if Trevor showed up again. I was scared. But I was also angry. How dare he make me feel unsafe? How dare he take everything he had already taken and then add fear on top of it? Nicole stayed with me for a few nights. We watched movies, ordered takeout, talked about everything except Trevor. She made me laugh. She reminded me that I was more than this divorce, more than this trauma. You're going to come out of this better, Nicole said. You're going to build an amazing life. And Trevor is going to be a cautionary tale you tell at parties years from now. I hope you're right. I'm always right, Nicole said, and we both laughed. 3 weeks before trial, Candace's criminal case resolved. She pled guilty to unauthorized use of a vehicle and reckless driving. She got probation, community service, and had to pay restitution for my car. But the amount she could pay was minimal. She was broke too. Trevor had stopped supporting her the moment his money ran out, and she couldn't afford a decent lawyer. The court ordered her to pay me $5,000 over 2 years. It's not enough, I said to Veronica. My car was worth $35,000. I know. But we'll get the rest from Trevor in the civil case. He's jointly liable, remember? So Trevor would end up paying for his mistress's mistakes too. There was a certain justice in that. I started to see the path forward. Trevor had destroyed his own life through his choices. He had lost his job, his money, his reputation, his family, and his friends. He had no one to blame but himself. And I was still standing. Hurt, yes. Changed, absolutely. But standing. The trial was 2 weeks away. I was ready. I had my evidence, my witnesses, my lawyer, and my determination. Trevor had made his choices. Now it was time for him to face the consequences. Work became my sanctuary. While everything else in my life felt chaotic and uncertain, the marketing firm was steady. Projects had deadlines, clients had needs, and I had skills that could meet those needs. It was simple, straightforward, and didn't involve betrayal. Patricia called me into her office 3 weeks before the trial. I assumed it was another check-in about my well-being, but instead, she had a folder on her desk labeled with the name of a major tech company. We've been approached by a new client, Patricia said. They're launching a product in 6 months and need a complete marketing strategy. It's a big account, potentially worth $2 million to us over the next 2 years. That's great, I said, wondering why she was telling me this. I want you to lead it. I stared at her. Lead it? Patricia, I'm going through a divorce trial in 3 weeks. My life is chaos right now. I know. But you're also the best strategic thinker we have. You've been producing excellent work even while dealing with all of this. That shows me you can handle pressure. This client needs someone who can think clearly under stress. That's you. What about James? He's been here longer and he's been angling for a bigger account. James is good, but he's not you. He doesn't have your instinct for what makes people pay attention. This client wants fresh, bold ideas. You're the one who can deliver that. I thought about it. Leading a major account would mean more responsibility, longer hours, and higher visibility. But it would also mean a significant raise in career advancement. It would mean proving I could thrive, not just survive. I'll do it, I said. Good. The client wants to meet next week. Prepare a preliminary presentation. Show them what we can do. I spent the next 5 days immersed in research. The tech company was launching an educational app for children. I studied their competitors, analyzed market trends, and developed a strategy that focused on parents' desires for their kids to have screen time that wasn't just entertaining but enriching. The presentation went well. The client, a woman named Brenda who was the company's marketing director, asked sharp questions and seemed impressed by my answers. By the end of the meeting, they had signed a contract, and I was officially the lead on a $2 million account. You're incredibly composed, Brenda said as we walked out of the conference room. Patricia mentioned you were going through a difficult time personally, but I wouldn't have guessed it. Work helps, I said. It's nice to have something I can control. I went through a bad divorce 5 years ago, Brenda said. I threw myself into my career too. Best decision I ever made. By the time it was over, I had moved up 2 levels and didn't need his money anymore. We exchanged contact information and I felt something shift. This wasn't just a client relationship. This was a connection with someone who understood. That evening, Nicole took me out to celebrate. A $2 million account. Simone, this is huge. This is the kind of thing that makes you partner track. Maybe, I said. Let's see how the trial goes first. The trial is going to be fine. You're going to win, get your money, and then you're going to take that settlement and build an empire. An empire seems ambitious. Why not? You're smart, you're talented, and you're finally free to focus on yourself instead of propping up a man who didn't deserve you. I let Nicole's words sink in. She was right. For years, I had considered Trevor's career alongside my own. I had turned down opportunities because they would require too much travel and he had wanted me home more. I had negotiated for less money because he had been sensitive about me making more than him. I had made myself smaller to accommodate his ego. I didn't have to do that anymore. Over the next 2 weeks, I threw myself into the project. My team was excellent, and together we developed a campaign that was creative, data-driven, and emotionally resonant. Brenda loved it. "You've exceeded expectations," she said during our review meeting. "I'm so glad we chose your firm. Actually, I'm so glad we got you specifically." The trial started on a Monday. Veronica had prepared me thoroughly, but nothing could quite prepare me for seeing Trevor again in that courthouse. He looked terrible, thinner, older, exhausted. He wouldn't meet my eyes. His lawyer tried to paint him as a man who had made mistakes but was genuinely remorseful. Veronica systematically destroyed that narrative. She presented the evidence. The texts, the bank statements, the testimony from Amy about the previous affair, the testimony from Trevor's parents about the money he had stolen from them. "This wasn't a mistake," Veronica said in her closing argument. "This was a pattern of deception, manipulation, and theft that lasted for years. Mr. Patterson systematically betrayed his wife's trust while using their shared resources to fund not one but multiple affairs. He gave away property that belonged solely to his wife, resulting in its destruction. He stole from his own parents while making his wife believe they had to struggle financially. This is not a man who made an error in judgment. This is a man who made calculated choices to benefit himself at everyone else's expense." The trial lasted 3 days. Trevor's lawyer tried to argue that I was vindictive, that I was trying to destroy him out of anger rather than seeking fair compensation. Veronica shut that down with evidence that everything we were asking for was directly tied to money Trevor had stolen or property he had destroyed. On the 3rd day the judge ruled. I got the house, both retirement accounts, and Trevor was ordered to pay me back $78,000 within 2 years. He was also responsible for all legal fees. "If you fail to pay," the judge said directly to Trevor, "your wages will be garnished, and you may face additional penalties including jail time for contempt of court." Trevor's face crumpled. His lawyer put a hand on his shoulder. But I felt nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, no joy. Just relief that it was over. Outside the courthouse, Trevor's parents were waiting. His mother hugged me tight. "You did the right thing," she said. "I'm so proud of you." "Thank you for testifying," I said. "It meant everything." "We told the truth," Trevor's father said. "That's all we could do." I watched them walk away and it hit me that I had lost them too. They weren't really my family anymore. The divorce had severed those ties even though they had supported me. It hurt in a way I hadn't expected. Nicole drove me home. "You won," she said. "It's over. You can start moving forward now." "I know. So why do you look sad?" "Because winning doesn't feel like I thought it would. It just feels like the end of something that should have been good but wasn't." "That's okay," Nicole said. "You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to grieve. But you're also allowed to be proud of yourself. You stood up for yourself. You didn't let him manipulate you into backing down. You got justice." That night I sat in my house now, and thought about what justice really meant. Trevor had to pay me back. He had a criminal record for the company fraud. His reputation was destroyed. His relationships were broken. He had lost almost everything. And I had my house, my job, my friends, and my future. I had taken something terrible and turned it into an opportunity to rebuild. Dr. Williams had been right. I was stronger than I thought. The next week I met with a financial advisor. With the settlement money coming, I wanted to invest wisely. She helped me set up retirement accounts, investment portfolios, and a separate savings account for my business idea. "Business idea?" Nicole asked when I told her. "You're starting a business?" "Maybe. I've been thinking about it. Going out on my own, doing consulting work. Building something that's completely mine." "That's amazing. When?" "Not yet. I want to finish this big project at work first, build my reputation a little more, save up enough capital to feel secure. But soon. Within the year." Nicole raised her wine glass. "To soon. To building something better. To being your own boss." We clinked glasses and I felt it. Hope. Real, genuine hope for the future. Work continued to go well. The project for Brenda's company was a success, and they signed on for additional work. Patricia called me in again. "I'm promoting you to senior director," she said, "with a 30% raise and your own team to manage. You've earned it." 30%. That was substantial money, especially combined with the settlement from Trevor. I was going to be financially secure for the first time in my life. with money that was entirely mine. Thank you, I said. I won't let you down. You never have, Patricia said. That's why you're getting the promotion. That evening I took myself out to dinner. Not to celebrate really, but to sit with where I was. 6 months ago, I had been married to a man who was betraying me. 3 months ago, I had been in the middle of a devastating divorce. Now, I was single, successful, and building a life that was entirely my own design. Felt good. Scary but good. My phone rang. An unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Simone. A male voice I didn't recognize. This is Derek, Trevor's cousin. I know you probably don't want to hear from anyone in his family, but I thought you should know. Trevor tried to hurt himself last night. He's in the hospital. My stomach dropped. Is he okay? Physically, yeah. They got to him in time. But mentally? He's not in a good place. They're keeping him for psychiatric evaluation. Why are you telling me this? Because he keeps asking for you. He keeps saying he needs to talk to you, that he needs you to forgive him. The doctors think he's fixated on you as the solution to all his problems. That's not healthy. I know. That's why I'm calling. You need to be careful. I don't think Trevor would hurt you, but he's not thinking clearly. If he reaches out when he gets released, don't respond. Don't engage. After Derek hung up, I called Veronica. She was concerned but not surprised. This is a manipulation tactic, even if he's not consciously doing it, she said. He's trying to make you feel responsible for his well-being. You're not. His mental health is not your problem. I know. But part of me still feels guilty. That's the part of you that's been trained to take care of him. You need to retrain that part. Trevor's problems are his own. You're not required to fix them. I knew she was right. But that night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Trevor in a hospital room, kept wondering what had driven him to that point. Was it really just the loss of money and status? Or was it something deeper, something broken inside him that had always been there? In therapy, Dr. Williams helped me work through it. You can feel compassion for his pain without taking responsibility for it. His choices led him here. Your choices led you to safety and success. Those are two different paths. I don't want him to die, I said. That's normal. That's human. But his life is in his hands, not yours. The best thing you can do for him is maintain your boundaries and continue building your own life. So that's what I did. I worked on my project. I planned for my future business. I spent time with friends. I went to therapy. I rebuilt my life piece by piece. And Trevor stayed in my past where he belonged. 9 months after the divorce was finalized, I handed in my resignation at the marketing firm. Patricia was disappointed but supportive. You're ready for this, she said. You've built something incredible here, and I know you'll build something even better on your own. Thank you for everything, I said. For believing in me, for giving me that first big project, for understanding what I was going through. You did the work, Patricia said. I just gave you the opportunity. Now go build your empire. Nicole helped me set up the business. We filed the LLC paperwork, set up a website, and created marketing materials. I called my new company Elevation Strategy because that's what I wanted to do for my clients. Elevate their message, elevate their brand, elevate their success. My first client was Brenda. She had left the tech company to start her own business and wanted me to handle all her marketing. I only want to work with you, she said. Not a big firm, not a team of people I don't know. That's what I'm paying for. It was terrifying and exhilarating. I was completely on my own. No safety net, no steady paycheck, no office full of colleagues to bounce ideas off of. Just me and my skills and my determination. The first 3 months were hard. I worked long hours, often late into the night, building strategies for Brenda and reaching out to potential clients. I got rejected a lot. Companies wanted established firms with proven track records, not solo consultants just starting out. But slowly I gained traction. A friend from college hired me for a small project. That led to a referral. The referral led to another. By month 4 I had 5 clients. By month 6 I had 8. I hired my first employee, a young woman named Tasha who had just graduated with a marketing degree. She was smart, creative, and hungry to prove herself. I saw myself in her. You're really building something, Nicole said when she came to visit my new office space. It was small, just 2 rooms in a shared workspace building, but it was mine. I said, and I felt proud. The business grew faster than I expected. By the end of the first year, I had 15 clients and 3 employees. The revenue was good, not quite at the level of my old corporate salary yet, but getting there. More importantly, I loved what I was doing. I was building exactly the kind of company I wanted, with the clients I chose, doing work I believed in. Trevor's settlement payments came monthly. He had gotten a new job, something lower level than before, and his wages were garnished to pay me back. I put that money straight into savings. I didn't want to spend it, didn't want to feel like my success was built on his failure. It was just compensation for what he had stolen, nothing more. I moved into a new apartment. The house had too many memories, too much history. I sold it and used the profit as a down payment on a modern condo with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the city. It was smaller than the house, but it was entirely mine, chosen by me, decorated by me, filled only with things I loved. Nicole helped me move in. "This place is incredible," she said, looking out at the view. "This is the home of a successful businesswoman, not a suburban housewife." "I was never really meant to be a suburban housewife," I said. "I was trying to fit into Trevor's vision of what our life should be. And now you're living your own vision." "Yes." I bought a new car, something I had researched and chosen myself. A sleek blue sedan with all the features I wanted. Every time I drove it, I thought about my old Mercedes, the one Trevor had given to Candace. That car was gone, but this one was better. This one was mine in a way the old one never had been. Around the 18-month mark post-divorce, something interesting happened. I was at a business conference, networking during a happy hour, when a man approached me. He was tall, well-dressed, with kind eyes and an easy smile. "Simone Patterson?" he asked. "I heard your presentation this afternoon. Really impressive work." "Thank you," I said. "And you are?" "Jerome Mitchell. I run a software company. We're actually looking for marketing help. Would you be interested in talking about it?" We exchanged business cards and I expected that to be the end of it. But Jerome followed up the next day with an email asking to meet for coffee to discuss his company's needs. The coffee meeting went well. Jerome was smart, thoughtful, and asked good questions about strategy rather than just execution. His company was growing fast, and he needed someone who could help them build a brand that matched their ambitions. "I'd like to hire your firm," he said at the end of our meeting. "Not just for a project but as our ongoing marketing partner." "That's a significant commitment," I said. "Can I put together a formal proposal for you?" "Absolutely. But I should tell you up front, I'm impressed by you specifically. The way you think, the questions you ask, your whole approach. That's what I want for my company." I put together the proposal and Jerome's company signed on. It was my biggest client yet, with a monthly retainer that would allow me to hire 2 more employees and move to a bigger office space. Over the next few months, Jerome and I worked closely together. He respected my expertise, valued my input, and never tried to micromanage or second-guess my decisions. It was refreshing after years of Trevor questioning my judgment or trying to make me feel less capable. "You're really good at this," Jerome said during one of our strategy sessions. "Have you always been this confident in your abilities?" "No," I admitted. "I used to doubt myself a lot. My ex-husband had a way of making me feel like I was never quite good enough." "He sounds like an idiot." I laughed. "He was." Jerome looked at me thoughtfully. "Can I ask you something personal? And you can absolutely tell me to mind my own business." "Okay. Would you want to have dinner with me sometime?" "Not a business dinner. A real date." I felt my heart speed up. I hadn't dated anyone since Trevor. Hadn't even thought about it. The idea of trusting someone enough to let them into my life felt impossible. "I don't know if I'm ready for that," I said honestly. "My divorce was bad. Really bad. And I'm just getting to a place where I feel stable again." "I understand," Jerome said. "But if you ever change your mind, the offer stands. No pressure." That night I talked to Nicole about it. "He seems nice," I said. "But what if I'm wrong again? What if I trust someone and they turn out to be another Trevor? What if he's not?" Nicole countered. "What if he's exactly what he seems to be, a good guy who's interested in you? How do I know the difference?" "You don't, not completely. But Simone, you can't let Trevor ruin your whole life. You can't let his betrayal make you afraid to ever trust anyone again. That means he still wins." I thought about that for a long time. Was I going to let Trevor's choices dictate my future? Was I going to be so afraid of being hurt again that I never opened myself up to anything real? Dr. Williams helped me work through it in therapy. "Trust is a risk," she said. "There's no way around that. But you're smarter now. You know what red flags to look for. You know your own worth. You're not the same person who married Trevor. So what do I do?" "You decide if Jerome is worth the risk. You take it slow. You trust yourself to see clearly this time." 2 weeks later, I accepted Jerome's dinner invitation. We went to a quiet restaurant, nothing fancy, and talked for 3 hours. He told me about his company, his family, his divorce from 5 years ago that had been amicable but sad. We grew apart, he said. No drama, no cheating, just two people who realized they wanted different things. We're still friends. That sounds healthy, I said. It was hard but necessary. And it taught me a lot about what I actually need in a relationship. Honesty, respect, partnership. Not just romance but genuine friendship. I found myself relaxing. Jerome was easy to talk to, easy to be around. He asked about my business, my goals, my life. He didn't pry about my divorce, but when I mentioned it briefly, he nodded with understanding. Bad divorces leave scars, he said. Take your time healing. There's no rush. We dated slowly over the next few months. Coffee dates, walks in the park, dinners where we talked about everything and nothing. Jerome never pushed for more than I was ready to give. He was patient, kind, and consistently showed up when he said he would. I think I like him, I told Nicole. That scares me. Of course it does. But that's okay. Fear doesn't mean you're making a mistake. It just means you're taking a chance. My business hit the 2-year mark. I now had 7 employees, 23 clients, and revenue that exceeded what I had made at the corporate firm. I was featured in a local business magazine as one of the city's rising entrepreneurs. You've built something incredible, the journalist said during our interview. What's your secret? I stopped trying to make other people happy, I said. I focused on doing good work and building a business that reflects my values. Everything else followed from that. The article ran with a photo of me in my office, confident and professional. I sent a copy to Trevor's mother, who had stayed in touch despite everything. She called me immediately. I'm so proud of you, she said. Look at what you've built. Look at how far you've come. Thank you for always believing in me, I said. We always knew you were special. We just wish our son had seen it too. Jerome read the article and texted me, impressive, but I'm not surprised. You're amazing. I smiled at my phone. Amazing. When was the last time someone had made me feel like that? 6 months into dating Jerome, he asked me to be his girlfriend officially. We were walking through the park on a Sunday afternoon, and he just stopped and said it. I know we've been taking things slow and I respect that, but I need to tell you how I feel. I'm falling in love with you, Simone. And I'd like to be in a committed relationship if you're ready for that. I looked at him, at his honest face and kind eyes, and I realized something important. I trusted him. Not blindly, not naively, but in a way that felt earned and real. I'd like that too, I said. He kissed me then, gentle and sweet, and it felt like a beginning. That night, I sat in my condo and thought about how much had changed. 2 years ago, I had been devastated, broken, sure my life was over. Now I had a thriving business, a beautiful home, genuine friends, and a relationship with someone who valued me. Trevor had tried to destroy me. Instead, he had freed me to become someone better. I called Nicole. I'm happy, I said. For the first time in years, I'm genuinely happy. You deserve it, Nicole said. You fought for it. You earned it. And she was right. This happiness wasn't luck or chance. It was the result of refusing to give up, of choosing myself, of building a life I was proud of. Trevor had taken my car, my money, and my trust. But he couldn't take my strength or my ability to rebuild. I had won. Not because I had destroyed him, but because I had built something better. The business conference in Atlanta was one I almost didn't attend. It was expensive, would require 3 days away from the office, and I was already busy with client work. But Tasha convinced me. You need to network more, she said. The business is doing great, but if you want to scale to the next level, you need connections with bigger companies. This conference is where those people are. She was right, so I went. The first day was typical conference fare. Panel discussions, networking lunches, awkward small talk with strangers. I was tired and ready to skip the evening reception when I ran into Brenda. Simone. She hugged me tight. I didn't know you were here. You have to come to the reception tonight. There's someone I want you to meet. I was actually thinking of ordering room service and going to bed early. Absolutely not. This person could be huge for your business. Trust me. So I went to the reception, wearing my professional networking smile and carrying business cards. Brenda found me within 10 minutes and pulled me toward a group of people talking near the bar. This is Jerome Mitchell, she said, gesturing to a man I recognized immediately. My boyfriend. His software company is about to expand nationally, and he needs marketing help. Jerome, this is Simone Patterson. She runs Elevation Strategy, the firm I've been raving about. Jerome and I looked at each other and started laughing. We've actually met, Jerome said to Brenda. Simone's my girlfriend. Brenda's face went through about 5 expressions in 2 seconds. Your girlfriend? You're dating the marketing consultant I've been trying to introduce you to for months. Small world, I said, still laughing. Later, after Brenda recovered from her shock and made us promise to have dinner with her before the conference ended, Jerome and I found a quiet corner. I didn't know you were speaking at this conference, I said. Last-minute addition. They had a cancellation and asked if I could do a panel on startup scaling. I said yes because I thought it would be good visibility. It's nice to see you in your element, I said. You're impressive when you talk about your company. You're impressive all the time, Jerome said. But especially when you're in business mode. The way you analyzed that case study this morning during the panel? I was taking notes. We spent the evening together, networking as a couple but also supporting each other professionally. It felt natural, easy. Jerome introduced me to potential clients. I introduced him to potential investors. We worked as a team without even trying. The next day, during a break between sessions, Jerome suggested we walk around the conference center. I've been thinking about something, he said. About us, about our businesses, about the future. Okay. My company is growing. We're about to launch in 6 new markets. I need a full-time marketing director, someone who understands the brand and can think strategically. That's exciting, I said. Are you looking for recommendations? Actually, I'm wondering if you'd be interested. Not as a consultant but as a full partner. You'd have equity, real input on company direction, and the resources to build a marketing team exactly how you want it. I stopped walking. Jerome, I have my own company. I can't just leave it. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to consider a merger of sorts. Elevation Strategy becomes the official marketing arm of my company. Your clients stay yours, but you also have the resources and backing of a tech company that's about to scale nationally. It's a partnership. That's a huge decision. I know. That's why I'm just asking you to think about it. No pressure, no timeline. Just consider if it might be the next evolution for your business. I spent the rest of the conference thinking about his offer. On one hand, I loved the independence of running my own firm. On the other hand, Jerome's company had funding, infrastructure, and growth potential that could take years for me to build on my own. On the flight home, I made lists of pros and cons. I called Nicole. It sounds like an amazing opportunity, she said. But you need to be sure it's what you want, not just what Jerome needs. That's the thing. I think it might be what I want too. I've been feeling the limitations of being a small firm. We can only take on so many clients. We can only scale so fast. This would solve those problems. Then maybe it's worth exploring. But get everything in writing. Make sure your equity and autonomy are protected. I met with my lawyer, the one who had helped me set up the LLC. She reviewed Jerome's offer and helped me negotiate terms that protected my interests. By the time we finalized the agreement, Elevation Strategy would maintain its name and independence but would be the preferred marketing partner for Jerome's company, with me holding equity in both businesses. This is a smart move, my lawyer said. You're diversifying your assets while maintaining control. That's rare. I signed the papers on a Thursday afternoon. Jerome took me out to celebrate that evening. To partnerships, he said, raising his glass. Business and otherwise. To partnerships, I echoed. We were in the middle of dinner when my phone rang. Trevor's mother. I hadn't heard from her in a few months, though we still exchanged occasional texts. I'm sorry to call during dinner, she said when I answered. But I thought you should know. Trevor got married last weekend. I almost dropped my phone. Married. To someone he met at his new job. They've been dating for 6 months apparently. We weren't invited to the wedding. We found out from a social media post. Are you okay? I asked. We're sad that he didn't include us. But honestly, we're more worried about the woman he married. She has no idea what she's getting into. After I hung up, Jerome looked at me with concern. Everything okay? Trevor got remarried. How do you feel about that? I thought about it. Trevor married, starting over with someone new. Part of me worried for her, this woman who didn't know about Trevor's history of lying and cheating. But mostly I just felt distant from it all. I feel nothing, I said honestly. It doesn't affect me. It's not my problem. He's not my problem anymore. That's healthy, Jerome said. That's moving on. I think I really have moved on, I said. For a long time I was so focused on what he did to me, on the betrayal and the hurt. But now, I barely think about him. And when I do, it's not with anger or pain. It's just factual. He's someone I used to know. You've built an incredible life, Jerome said. A life that has nothing to do with him. That's the best revenge. It's not even revenge, I said. It's just life. My life. The one I was meant to have. The business merger went smoothly. My team integrated with Jerome's company, and we had resources I had only dreamed of. Within 6 months, we had expanded to 3 new cities and doubled our client base. I hired more staff, including a senior strategist who could handle day-to-day operations, which freed me up to focus on big-picture strategy and business development. The work was challenging but fulfilling. I was building something bigger than I had imagined possible. Jerome and I moved in together after a year of dating. We bought a house, a real one with a yard and space for both of us to have home offices. It was careful, intentional. We talked through everything: finances, goals, expectations. We made sure we were building something together, not just falling into something. I want to do this right, Jerome said the day we signed the mortgage papers. I want us to be partners in everything, not just business. Me too, I said. And that means being honest even when it's hard. It means respecting each other's independence. It means not losing ourselves in the relationship. Agreed. We furnished the house together, choosing things we both liked rather than compromising or deferring to each other. My therapist had talked to me about this, about the difference between healthy compromise and losing yourself. This felt healthy. One evening, about 18 months into our relationship, Jerome and I were cooking dinner together. He was chopping vegetables while I stirred sauce, and we were talking about nothing in particular, just easy conversation about our days. This feels right, Jerome said suddenly. This feels like what a partnership should be. It does, I agreed. I want to marry you, he said. Not right now, not rushing anything. But eventually when we're both ready. I want you to know that's where I see this going. I stopped stirring and looked at him. Marriage. The word that used to mean safety now made me think of betrayal. But looking at Jerome, at his honest face and open expression, I didn't feel afraid. I think I want that too, I said. Eventually. When we're ready. What would make you ready? He asked. Time. Consistency. Knowing that you're who you say you are, not just now but through challenges and stress and boring everyday life. That's fair. I want you to be sure. I want you to trust me completely, not just mostly. That night, lying in bed, I thought about trust. How I had given it blindly to Trevor and been destroyed. How I was giving it carefully to Jerome and feeling safe. The difference wasn't just in the men. It was in me. I was different now. Stronger, wiser, more protective of myself. Dr. Williams and I had been working toward terminating therapy. Not because I didn't need it anymore, but because I had developed the tools to handle things on my own. You've come so far, she said in what would be our second to last session. When you first came to me, you were shattered. You didn't know if you could survive. Now look at you. Thriving business, healthy relationship, strong sense of self. I still have moments, I admitted. Moments where I doubt everything. Moments where I'm scared it's all going to fall apart. That's normal. Trauma doesn't just disappear. But you know how to handle those moments now. You don't let them consume you. No, I don't. What's the biggest lesson you've learned through all of this? I thought about it. That I'm enough on my own. I don't need someone else to complete me or validate me. I'm whole by myself. Everything else is just addition, not completion. That's exactly right, Dr. Williams said. Remember that, especially as you move forward with Jerome. He should add to your life, not define it. The business hit a major milestone, $5 million in revenue. We celebrated with the whole team, throwing a party at a rooftop venue with a view of the city. I gave a speech thanking everyone for their hard work and dedication. When I started this company 3 years ago, I said, I was rebuilding my life from scratch. I didn't know if I could make it work. But you all believed in me, in this vision, in what we could build together. And look at us now. This is what's possible when people work together with trust and respect and shared goals. Tasha, my first employee, was crying. You changed my life, she said during the toast. You took a chance on me when I had no experience and you taught me everything. I'll never forget that. After the party, Jerome and I walked home through the city streets. It was a warm night, the kind where everything feels possible. I'm proud of you, Jerome said. You took devastation and turned it into something beautiful. I had help, I said. I had Nicole and your parents and Veronica and Dr. Williams. And you. I couldn't have done this alone. Maybe not. But you did the work. You made the choices. You built this life. We walked in comfortable silence for a while and I thought about how far I had come. From that moment standing in my driveway, learning my car had been destroyed, to this moment walking next to someone who loved and respected me. It wasn't revenge that had healed me. It was rebuilding. It was choosing myself over and over until I became someone I was proud to be. Trevor had tried to break me. Instead, he had freed me. And I was grateful for that freedom, even if the path to it had been painful. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was in a client meeting. Nicole, calling 3 times in a row, which was our emergency signal. I excused myself and called her back. "What's wrong?" "Trevor's been trying to reach you," Nicole said. "He called me when he couldn't get through to you. Simone, his new wife, left him. And apparently she took everything." I walked into an empty conference room and closed the door. "What do you mean she took everything?" "She drained their joint account, took out credit cards in his name and disappeared. He just found out she was running some kind of con. She's done this to other men too. He's financially ruined again, and he wanted me to ask if you would talk to him." "No," I said immediately. "Absolutely not." That's what I told him. "But Simone, he's a mess. He's apparently crying on the phone, saying he doesn't know what to do, that he's lost everything, that he wishes he had never lost you." "That's not my problem." "I know. I just thought you should know what's happening in case he tries to contact you through other means." After I hung up, I sat in that conference room for a long time. Trevor, conned and abandoned by the woman he had left me for, reaching out to me for help. The irony wasn't lost on me. But I felt nothing. No satisfaction at his karma, no sympathy for his situation, no urge to rescue him. Just a distant awareness that he was experiencing some version of what he had put me through. That evening I told Jerome about the call. He listened carefully, then asked, "Do you want to help him?" "No." "Why would I?" "I don't know. Because you're kind? Because you have money now and he doesn't? Because part of you might still care?" "I don't care," I said firmly. "I care about the man I thought he was, and I grieve for the marriage I thought I had. But the actual Trevor? The man who stole from me and lied to me and gave my car to his mistress? I don't care what happens to him." "Good," Jerome said. "Because you don't owe him anything. He made his choices." But the news bothered me more than I wanted to admit. Not because I felt bad for Trevor, but because it made me think about Candace and the new wife and all the women Trevor had manipulated. We were all just characters in his story, disposable when we stopped serving his needs. "Do you think I was stupid?" I asked Jerome that night. "For not seeing who he really was?" "No. I think you were trusting, which is what you're supposed to be in a marriage. He was the one who was broken, not you." Over the next few days, I learned more details through the grapevine. Trevor's new wife, whose name was Felicity, had been running a long con. She targeted divorced men, moved fast into marriage, and then cleaned them out financially before disappearing. Trevor was victim number 4 that authorities knew about. "The police want you to testify," Veronica told me when she called. "They're building a case against Felicity, and your testimony about Trevor's pattern of behavior could be useful." "Testify about what?" "I never met Felicity." "About Trevor's financial habits, about how he operates in relationships, about the lies he tells. It could help establish that he was vulnerable to this kind of manipulation because of his own history of manipulation." "Will I have to see him?" "Probably. He's the primary victim in this case." I thought about it for a day before deciding. "I'll do it. Not for Trevor, but because if Felicity is doing this to other men, she should face consequences." The deposition was awkward. Trevor looked terrible. Thin, exhausted, defeated. His lawyer had him there to answer questions about his finances and timeline with Felicity. I was there to provide context about Trevor's character. Excuse me, Miss Patterson," the prosecutor said. "Can you describe your ex-husband's relationship with truth and money?" I looked at Trevor. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Trevor has a pattern of lying to get what he wants and taking money that doesn't belong to him. During our marriage, he spent over $50,000 of our joint money on affairs. He took $20,000 from his parents under false pretenses. He gave away property that belonged solely to me. When faced with consequences, he cries and apologizes and promises to change, but the pattern repeats. And in your opinion, would he be vulnerable to someone like Miss Felicity? Yes. Trevor looks for people he can manipulate. When he finds someone who manipulates him instead, he's lost. He doesn't have the tools to recognize it because he spent so much time lying himself. Trevor's lawyer objected, but the prosecutor had what she needed. After the deposition, Trevor tried to approach me in the hallway. "Simone, please. Can we just talk for a minute?" "No," I said. "We have nothing to discuss." "I'm sorry. For everything. You were right about me. I ruined the best thing I ever had." "Yes, you did. But that's not my problem anymore. I'm broke. I've lost everything. I don't know what to do." I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing. No anger, no pity, no connection. He was a stranger who happened to know things about my past. That's not my problem either, I said. You have a pattern of creating chaos and expecting other people to fix it. I'm not doing that anymore. Figure it out yourself. I walked away and didn't look back. Nicole met me for coffee after. How do you feel? Relieved. I saw him and I felt nothing. He's really and truly in my past now. Good. That's what moving on looks like. The criminal case against Felicity moved forward. She was eventually caught trying to con her fifth victim and was arrested. Trevor would get some of his money back eventually, but it would take years of legal battles. I didn't follow the case. It wasn't my story anymore. Around this time, Jerome and I started talking seriously about marriage. Not in the abstract future, but in concrete terms. Timeline, the kind of wedding we wanted, what marriage meant to us. I want you to be sure, Jerome said. I don't want you to marry me because you feel like you should or because we've been together for a while. I want you to marry me because you genuinely want to be my partner. I do want that, I said. But I need you to understand something. I'm never going to be the kind of wife who makes you the center of my universe. I have my work, my friends, my life. You're a huge part of that life, but you're not all of it. I don't want to be all of it, Jerome said. I want you to be whole on your own. That's what makes you so incredible. We talked through everything. Finances, future goals, what we would do if things got hard, how we would handle conflict. We were methodical about it, almost clinical, but that felt right. My last marriage failed because I didn't ask these questions, I said. I just assumed love would be enough. I know better now. Love is necessary, but it's not sufficient, Jerome said. You also need respect, honesty, compatible goals, and the willingness to work through hard things together. 3 months later, Jerome proposed. Not with a surprise proposal at a restaurant or some grand public gesture. He asked me during a quiet evening at home, after we had finished dinner and were sitting on our couch. I love you, he said. I respect you. I want to spend my life as your partner. Will you marry me? Yes, I said. And I meant it completely. We planned a small wedding, just close friends and family. Jerome's parents, who I had come to love. Nicole, my steadfast best friend. Trevor's parents, who I had stayed in touch with, who cried when I told them I was getting remarried. We're so happy for you, Trevor's mother said. You deserve this. You deserve all the happiness in the world. The wedding was simple and beautiful. I wore a dress I loved, not what I thought I should wear. We wrote our own vows, promising honesty and respect and partnership. We promised to support each other's dreams and to maintain our individual identities while building a shared life. When Jerome kissed me after we said, I do, I felt something I had never felt in my first marriage, safe. Completely, entirely safe. At the reception, Nicole gave a toast. I've known Simone for 15 years. I've seen her at her highest and her lowest. And I have never been more proud of her than I am right now. She took devastation and turned it into triumph. She refused to let betrayal define her. She built something beautiful from the ruins. Jerome, you're the luckiest man alive. Later that night, lying in bed next to my new husband, I thought about my journey. From that moment in my driveway, staring at an empty garage, to this moment, married to someone who genuinely loved and respected me. What are you thinking about? Jerome asked. How far I've come. How I almost didn't believe I could survive, and now I'm thriving. You're incredible, Jerome said. You know that, right? You're the strongest person I know. I didn't used to be. I think you always were. You just didn't know it yet. Maybe he was right. Maybe the strength had always been there, just waiting for me to discover it. Maybe Trevor's betrayal hadn't broken me, it had just revealed what I was capable of when I stopped trying to fix someone else and started building myself. I fell asleep that night feeling grateful. Not grateful for what Trevor had done, but grateful that I had survived it. Grateful that I had found the courage to fight for myself. Grateful that I had built a life I was proud of. The revenge hadn't been in destroying Trevor. The revenge had been in thriving without him. 2 years after my wedding to Jerome, I stood in my company's new headquarters. A full floor in a downtown building with a view of the city, conference rooms named after female business pioneers, and a team of 35 employees. Elevation Strategy had become one of the region's most respected marketing firms, and I had been asked to speak at a TEDx event about rebuilding after betrayal. Are you nervous? Tasha asked as she helped me prepare my notes. She was now my director of operations, having grown with the company from day one. A little, I admitted. Talking about Trevor publicly still feels weird. But if my story can help someone else, it's worth it. The TEDx stage was smaller than I expected, but the audience of 200 people felt huge. I took a deep breath and began. 5 years ago, I came home from a business trip to find police at my door. My car, the one I had saved 3 years to buy, had been totaled. The driver? My husband's mistress, the woman he had been supporting for over a year with our money. That moment, standing in my driveway, I had two choices: collapse or fight. I chose to fight. I told the story, carefully edited for time and privacy, but honest about the pain in the process. I talked about gathering evidence, about the legal battle, about the slow work of rebuilding trust in myself and others. I talked about starting my business with settlement money and pure determination. Revenge isn't about destroying the person who hurt you, I said as I concluded. It's about building something so good, so real, so yours that the betrayal becomes just a small chapter in a much larger story. I won not because my ex-husband suffered consequences, though he did. I won because I refused to let his actions define my future. I built the life I deserved, and that's the best revenge of all. The applause was thunderous. Afterward, at least 30 people approached me, many with tears in their eyes, telling me their own stories of betrayal and recovery. One woman, probably in her 60s, grabbed my hand. My husband left me after 40 years of marriage. I thought my life was over. But hearing you talk, I realize it's just starting. Thank you. The TEDx talk went viral. Within a week, it had 2 million views. My inbox flooded with speaking requests, interview opportunities, and messages from people all over the world who saw themselves in my story. This is wild, I told Jerome one evening as we read through some of the messages. People in Australia and Japan and Sweden are telling me I inspired them. That's the power of vulnerability, Jerome said. You were honest about your pain and people connected with that. The business grew exponentially after the talk. Companies wanted to work with someone who demonstrated resilience and strategic thinking under pressure. Within 6 months, we had expanded to 2 more cities and hired 15 more employees. I started a side project, a mentorship program for women going through divorces who wanted to start businesses. I partnered with legal aid organizations and business development centers to provide free consulting and emotional support. You're creating something really special, Nicole said after sitting in on one of the mentorship sessions. These women look at you like you're proof they can survive. That's what I needed when I was going through it, I said. Someone who had been there and come out the other side. One evening, I got a message through the mentorship program's website. It was from Candace. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, it read. But I wanted to apologize. I crashed your car, but more than that, I was part of something that hurt you badly. I was selfish and thoughtless. I've done a lot of therapy since then, and I understand now how much damage I caused. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. I showed the message to Jerome. Should I respond? Do you want to? I thought about it. Candace had been young and stupid, caught up in Trevor's lies. She had faced criminal charges, a damaged reputation, and the reality that the man she thought loved her had been using her. In some ways she was a victim too. I think I do, I said. I wrote back, I accept your apology. What you and Trevor did hurt me badly, but I've built something better since then. I hope you've done the same. Take care of yourself. She replied immediately, thank you. You have no idea how much that means. I've been carrying guilt for years. I'm in school now, trying to become a therapist. I want to help other women avoid the mistakes I made. I closed the message and felt something release. Forgiveness, but not the kind that absolved what she had done. Just acknowledgement that people can grow and change, that mistakes don't have to define a whole life. How do you feel? Jerome asked. Lighter, I said. Like I just put down something I didn't even realize I was carrying. The business hit 10 million in revenue. We celebrated with the whole team and I gave bonuses that made several people cry. Tasha pulled me aside at the party. You changed my life, she said, not for the first time. I was a broke graduate with no prospects and you took a chance on me. Now I own a house. I have savings. I have a career I'm proud of. That's because of you. It's because of you, I said. I just gave you an opportunity. You did the work. We both did, Tasha said. That's what makes this company special. We all lift each other up. Trevor's name occasionally came up in conversation, usually from people who had known us both. I learned through mutual acquaintances that he was managing a retail store now, living in a small apartment, still paying off debts from Felicity's con. His parents had finally started speaking to him again, but the relationship was strained. Do you ever think about him? Jerome asked one night. Sometimes, I admitted. Not with anger or regret anymore. More like curiosity about how someone ends up so broken that they destroy everyone around them. Do you forgive him? I don't know. I don't think about him enough to actively maintain anger. But forgiveness feels like it would require caring, and I just don't. He's irrelevant to my life now. That seems healthy. It took a long time to get here. We bought a vacation house, a cabin in the mountains where we could escape city life and just be quiet together. Jerome and I had developed a rhythm over our years together, supporting each other's work, maintaining our individual interests, making time for genuine connection. This is what marriage should be, I told Dr. Williams during one of my occasional check-in sessions. I still saw her once a quarter just to maintain my mental health and process life changes. You've built something remarkable, Dr. Williams said, both professionally and personally. You took trauma and turned it into growth. That's rare. It didn't feel rare. It felt like survival. The best growth often does. One day, I was driving through my old neighborhood for a client meeting when I passed the house I used to share with Trevor. A young family lived there now. There were toys in the yard, a minivan in the driveway, evidence of a life I had once planned but never lived. I didn't feel sad looking at it. I just felt grateful I had escaped before having children with Trevor, grateful I had gotten out while I still had time to build something better. My phone rang. Trevor's mother. Simone, dear, she said. I wanted to let you know Trevor is getting help. Real help. He checked into a treatment program for people with personality disorders. He's finally facing what's broken inside him. That's good, I said. I hope it helps him. Me too. But I also wanted to tell you something. Your success, your happiness, the life you built, I think it finally made him realize what he lost. Not because he wants you back, but because he sees what a real person looks like. Someone with integrity and strength. You were the mirror that showed him how broken he was. I didn't mean to be. I know. You were just living your life. But sometimes that's the most powerful thing we can do. After we hung up, I thought about that. My success as a mirror for Trevor's failures. I didn't build my life to show him what he lost. I built it because I deserved better. But if my happiness helped him finally face his issues, that was a bonus. The business continued to grow. We opened offices in 5 cities. I hired a CEO to handle day-to-day operations while I focused on strategy and client relationships. The mentorship program expanded to help 50 women a year start businesses after divorce. Jerome's company went public, making us both wealthy beyond what I had imagined. We donated a significant portion to organizations supporting domestic violence survivors and women entrepreneurs. We have so much, I told Jerome one evening. We should use it to help people. Agreed. What did you have in mind? We established a foundation that provided seed money for women starting businesses after leaving abusive or unfaithful marriages. The first year we funded 20 businesses. The second year 40. One of those businesses was started by a woman named Monica, whose story was eerily similar to mine. Her husband had given her wedding ring to his mistress. Monica used our grant to start a jewelry company that created custom pieces for women reclaiming their lives after divorce. You're my inspiration, Monica told me at the foundation's annual event. When my lawyer told me about your story, I realized I could survive too. Now I'm thriving. That moment, hearing Monica talk about building her business and reclaiming her joy, felt like the truest measure of success. Not the money, not the company size, not even my own happiness. The ripple effect of choosing to rebuild rather than collapse. 5 years after my wedding to Jerome, we sat on the porch of our mountain cabin, watching the sunset. Our lives had settled into something comfortable and real. No drama, no betrayal, just the steady work of maintaining a good relationship and building meaningful careers. Do you ever miss the beginning? Jerome asked. When everything was intense and new? No, I said honestly. I like this better. I like knowing you're exactly who you say you are. I like the steadiness of us. Me too. We sat in comfortable silence and I thought about the journey. From that devastating moment in my driveway to this peaceful moment in the mountains. From being someone who had been destroyed to being someone who had rebuilt. Trevor had tried to break me. Candace had damaged something precious. Together they had shattered the life I thought I wanted. And in doing so, they had freed me to build the life I actually needed. I didn't forgive them in the traditional sense. I didn't forget what they did or pretend it didn't matter. But I had stopped letting their actions define me. They were just people who had made bad choices. I was someone who had made better ones. What are you thinking about? Jerome asked. How grateful I am. Not for what happened, but for who I became because of it. You were always that person, Jerome said. You just didn't know it yet. Maybe. Or maybe trauma reveals things about us we never knew existed. Strength we didn't realize we had. Resilience we couldn't imagine. The ability to build something beautiful from ruins. My phone buzzed with a notification. Another woman had joined the mentorship program, asking for help starting over after discovering her husband's affair. I made a note to call her tomorrow to tell her what I wish someone had told me that day in my driveway, that she would survive this, that she would rebuild, that one day she would look back and see this as the beginning of something better, not the end of something good. The sun set completely, painting the sky in shades of blue and purple. Jerome reached for my hand and I squeezed back, grateful for this moment, this life, this second chance I had fought so hard to create. Trevor had taken my car, my money, and my trust. But he couldn't take my strength, my intelligence, or my ability to rebuild. Those were mine, always had been, always would be. And that was the real triumph. Not that he had suffered consequences, though he had. Not that I had gotten revenge, though some might call it that. The triumph was that I had refused to let his betrayal become my defining story. I had written a better story. And I was living it every single day.